It's pretty good tea.
Yeah? Awesome. All right, and we are back with episode... What number is it? 9?
Wait, no, 10, because we did 9 with Alan.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, episode 10.
We're back with episode 10. Everyone, welcome back to Two Shades of Grey.
We have David here and Claudio.
Yes, exactly.
And today's episode is on
Machine ethics.
machine ethics. So, just to preface this, I've been watching a certain series on Netflix called Black Mirror, which I'm sure
Great series, great series.
many of you listeners have seen, at least partially. And one of the interesting topics that it sort of brings
Introduced,
up
yeah.
is machine ethics. So I would say in many episodes, a topic is just sort of having a consciousness that is artificial, and or just having some sort of copy of a person and their behavior,
Yeah.
and then it makes you wonder, do they deserve moral, or are they worthy of moral value?
Yeah.
Should they deserve rights? Can they suffer? And these
All
are
very good
questions that
questions.
you need to answer, because like it really, that will kind of answer is how these AI in the show, are they being mistreated? Are they actually suffering?
Yes.
Is it wrong how they're being treated in certain episodes?
Yes, and for anyone that has seen these episodes, I think they were referring mainly to San Junipero,
San Junipero, White Christmas,
White Christmas,
Black Museum,
Black Museum, yeah, which is the last one of
And-
of season 4.
maybe Be Right Back, but
And also the one about the spaceship of the
yes,
commander.
and USS
What's that name?
Callister.
Yes, USS Callister.
And then obviously, this is not an idea that's been introduced by Black Mirror. I think
Of
it's
course.
just maybe some people might start thinking about it more
Yeah.
because of Black Mirror, and I think it does. At least for me, like it got me thinking more.
I think
about it.
like these concepts were always part of like science fiction, basically, and they started to grow more and more as artificial intelligence, came to be more of like a mainstream thing in our society. But definitely with Black Mirror, they became like more realistic, and many more people have been exposed to these topics,
Yeah.
right? Actually, even the episode of the person that dies and then comes back to life in this weird form, like from this clay. Remember, it was from season 1.
Yeah, that was Be
Was
Right
it-
Back. Sorry about any spoilers. We will put
Yes.
a warning at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Be right back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Like I guess that could also go within the realm of
Yeah.
artificial intelligence and consciousness. Even if in that case it's all, I guess, like user based. So basically, that clay person would learn to respond based on previous messages and events that occurred. So it's not really the dead person's consciousness that went in there. It's just this AI that was able to learn from messages and experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's different, but yeah.
So I'll start out by just kind of listing a few ideas, just to kind of get us rolling. So basically, machine ethics, I would say where the disparity is between viewpoints
Yeah.
is you could look at it as, okay, is the machine actually feeling? Is it actually consciously experiencing pain? Is it actually suffering? Can it suffer?
Yes.
If no, then perhaps somebody would argue, oh, okay, it's just a simulation. It's all code. It's all just simple if else, do this, do that.
Yes.
It's sure, maybe it could feel pain, but it's not necessarily consciously experiencing pain.
Okay. How would
And-
how would you define consciousness?
Because consciousness, it's really just like a subjective experience
Yes.
of the pain. Like it's bad.
But you need to have an entity that feels this subjective
Yeah, correct.
experience. So who would be the entity in this case?
Well, who it's kind of just how this program is being run, how it's actually like working fundamentally. So let's say you have an infinitely complex computer that's able to actually emulate a brain, and you somehow upload or create a consciousness for it. Then, assuming many things, if it's behaving like a human brain, then it will be subjectively experiencing things.
Maybe, again, I don't know, but yes.
Yeah, and like it's all hypothetical because we don't actually have a concrete example yet.
Yeah.
But I guess, what is your stance on this? Like, let's kind of find where we stand.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
So I know that there have been quite a few tech shows and tech events in which I think mainly Japanese companies have come up with robots that resemble humans, right, in like every shape of and form, and they really like they induce people to think that they're human. So I think that even if this robotic person or this machine, right, even if it's not actually experiencing consciousness, it can trick others into believing that that machine is conscious and then feel bad for it, in a sense that you felt bad for the episodes that you watch in Black Mirror. I think that we can kind of trick people's feelings and emotions just by having someone that resembles us so much.
Yeah. That
it can make us induce those feelings.
So it's really just like if it's not sentient, it's really just an ultra realistic. So it's just an ultra realistic resemblance of somebody.
Yes. Yeah. So like again, I can just code up. Okay, if machine is touched, then machine say, "Oh, I'm feeling so bad." Right? So you don't have this conscious machine, but instead you have this pre-programmed computer that will just induce the people that are interacting with it to feel as if it was conscious, even if it's not.
See, now the hardest thing to answer is it actually pre-programmed or not? For example, let's say I showed you a video of somebody being stabbed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say like no matter what, if it's real or fake, if you watch that, you will
feel bad. Yes,
feel
of
bad.
course.
You think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
You think it's just evil.
Yeah.
But then let's say now after it, I said that was fake. That was all acted. You'd be like, oh yeah, that was really weird. It was gross.
Yes.
But you probably wouldn't feel that bad.
Yes.
Now if I said now that was a real person, that was an actual video, you'd be like, oh my god, I can't
so
believe
much more
I saw
disturbing.
that. It's so much more disturbing. And I think this is kind of an analogy for machine ethics. Like, we don't really know if it's real or not. And there's I can't let's say with Black Mirror, I can't prove if it's real or not. You'd have to look at the actual implementation, like how these consciousnesses are being
programmed
created, copied.
Yeah.
But that's the darkest part of it, is that it could actually be sentient experience. And obviously, you have to assume a lot of things, but I'm of the opinion that if something is sentient, we know that it's conscious.
Yes.
Then it should deserve moral value and rights as a person would. But
yes.
And but that's only, and I think that might be kind of obvious because we'd say okay, obviously if it's an exact copy of the person, then yes,
it should have the same rights.
So then I think if we can create consciousness, I think we would have to prove that they are simulations before we would ever do anything with them, because it could lead to immense suffering.
What do you mean prove that they are simulations?
Just show that it cannot be conscious. Just somehow show.
But aren't we saying that it is conscious? So
so I'm saying if it were conscious, then it should deserve those rights.
Yes.
It should deserve moral value.
Okay.
If it isn't, it's just like Sims, just more realistic.
Yes,
so you can do whatever you want.
Yes.
But if we ever get to the point where we do have these hyper realistic, let's say, recreations of people,
yes,
we should never do anything to them until we can somehow prove that they are not sentient.
Okay, why don't you define sentient for us?
So sentient, again, I would just say that's there's some differing definitions. I would say it's just subjective experience of the world.
Our friend Google says that sentient is just so it's an adjective that means able to perceive or feel things, right? So sentience is the capacity to feel, perceive, or experience subjectively. And 18th century philosophers use the concept to distinguish the ability to think from the ability to feel.
Okay, maybe we should then distinguish. Maybe sentient isn't really the correct way to go. It should be conscious, because sentience, you could argue like a plant is a plant is sentient then,
because it can feel, right?
Feel it, and it can react to things. But it's not conscious.
But if we're only talking about reaction, then I wouldn't draw the line there, because many things can react. Like even a computer can react to it.
Exactly.
If you
that's
something.
why I think maybe not sentience but consciousness.
Yes.
Like say they are not actually subjectively experiencing anything. It's just it's all just input output. It's all that's all it is. Like a calculator, right? Like I put in things. Now, what is your stance? Like let's say we had this technology where I said, hey, I can copy this consciousness, put it into some, you can do whatever you want with it. Would you
should you do it? Should you
not? What should we do?
Yeah.
What is your view on that?
So, again, as with everything, there's two shades of gray to this, right? Because there is a good side to it. So, for example, say that you're about to die, right? But you would like to still be there, right? Consciously to stay, with your family for a few more years until your grandson will get married, for example, right? So in that case, like San Junipero, you could like upload your consciousness before you die, so that your body dies and decays, but you're still there, right? So say that we can have a twist to San Junipero, and instead of uploading the consciousness to some database, we'd upload it to some other body, right? So that the person will still be there. So that would be a good application of it. And instead a bad one would be, of eternal torture. So like say that you are a prisoner of war, and they've tortured you so much that your body's just dying, but they want to torture you more because, I don't know, you're a spy or something.
Terrible, man.
Yes. And so they upload your consciousness to this other body, they torture you even more, and then they go to another body, or even just screw the bodies, they just upload you to some cloud.
Simulation,
and they torture. Because they again,
universe.
Pain is all. It's kind of like it's all in the brain, right? And so if we can simulate the brain, then we can simulate all these inputs that the brain gets. It would make us feel pain.
So now, pain in and of itself isn't necessarily bad. It's just how you perceive it or react to it.
I mean,
right?
I think that pain by definition is unpleasant and bad.
Okay, well,
right?
no, it's unpleasant and bad because we associate it with negative stimuli.
But that's what pain is.
Yeah, but it's something didn't have conscious experience, but it still felt like pain is designed for us to keep living. If I burn myself,
of course,
I'm like, oh, that's negative.
Well, yes,
that's negative input. I should be away from that.
Yes.
So something that doesn't even have consciousness, it's not actually subjectively experiencing anything. It can still feel pain. It's just not consciously experiencing it. So, for example, let's say an insect, right?
Yeah.
Or just some let's say you have some organ.
I see.
Insects might
okay.
I don't know.
Say some very low level being.
Some very extremely basic
simple,
organism, or plants, right? Plants maybe I don't know if it's pain, but they react to negative.
So I guess that again, this is a distinction between just reaction and actually consciousness, right?
Yes.
So that's where you can either feel pain or you can just be subject to it. Or again, if you were to cut a lizard's tail, I'm sure that it would feel pain, but it wouldn't actually feel it. It would just kind of respond to the negative input and be like, oh wait, that was bad.
Well,
I should move away or something.
I think a lizard's brain is complex enough to really to be able to suffer. Because it's essentially pain, not everything that feels pain will suffer.
Okay, yeah, so it is about suffering, actually.
Yes.
Yes. Because you can feel pain but not suffer.
Yeah.
Or you can, suffer and feel pain.
Yeah.
You can actually suffer without feeling pain, I guess. That's more of a psychological thing, just suffering from a breakup or something.
I guess it's psychological pain, but it isn't physical. It's not in the sense where it's actual stimuli.
Yes. We can also do even more than just physical pain. We can say, again, a form of torture could be, we'll upload your consciousness and we'll show you your kids being tortured or your kids dying, right? It's not you that is physically feeling pain, or I guess not physically, but physically in the cloud feeling pain, but it's you that is suffering because you're watching something or you're experiencing something that's so bad.
in one of the episodes, simulating, let's say, like you can simulate 1,000,000 years
Yes.
in seconds,
White
and
Christmas,
subject that,
right?
yeah,
Yes,
subject
exactly.
the copy
Yes.
to that, and to
Exactly,
you, like,
yes.
it's incomprehensibly
Yes.
evil. Like if they are actually consciously experiencing it,
Yes.
because you are like, imagine you being in the white room for 1,000,000 years, and like you are,
Yeah, and you feel
are
bored and
fully
everything.
conscious,
Yes.
so like
Exactly.
it's
We just can't wrap our
Yeah.
head around these topics because they're just so inhuman,
Yeah.
right? With the same concept of having an infinite universe, it's so it's inhumane for us to think of that. We're not made to grasp that.
exactly. So that's why I think we should never be able to ever use a technology like that until we can somehow prove that it cannot suffer,
Yes.
that it is not conscious. If it is, and something is like ever created where it is like a digital consciousness, and we somehow can know
Yeah.
that it can suffer, then I would say it deserves rights. It deserves
Yes,
moral-
but then are you saying that it should be blocked? So like say that, we can prove that yes, okay, we can upload someone's consciousness and they will still be alive in wherever we choose to upload their consciousness. Are you saying that since there is a risk that could be turned into something evil, that we should not do it?
Well, we don't. It's not necessarily that we shouldn't do it,
Yeah.
but we should be very careful if we ever were to do it, and just
Of
make
course.
sure that it can never lead to something like that. But then again, like there's so many risks. Perhaps we shouldn't. Like maybe it's just too far. We are playing God. We have too much power over them. Like I can put that consciousness into a simulation and make it suffer for 1,000,000,000 years, and to me it was 1 second.
Of course.
And
It's really incomprehensible. Like
so, like, and again, a thought experiment too is like, imagine if you were dying and then you were put into like a machine body.
Yeah.
Should people just say, "Oh, now we can lock you into a room
Yeah.
and just leave you there for years? You'll never die. You're just gonna be in boredom,
Yeah.
just because you're a machine." And that you're only wires and maybe code, like that.
But you're more than that, right? Because
Yeah,
you're
because-
actually in there.
And again, like just the fundamental issue is that I don't know how to prove if you actually are conscious. Like I'm just saying it is.
We don't have to know. I guess that whoever that is going to
Yeah.
work on them will
Like
have
so,
to prove
yeah.
it for
So
us.
whenever we
but-
have some infinitely complex technology that can actually handle it, there needs to be extensive insight into like we need to actually find out.
Yeah.
Because we can determine if other beings, like other organisms, are conscious, because we can look at the human brain, say, oh, this region is affiliated with like conscious thought.
Yeah.
So for example, like maybe like the frontal lobe, well, that's like logic, reasoning, but
Sure.
it's still like thinking.
Yeah.
Just more like higher
It's just
thought.
human, and
Yeah. And then you can look at, so then when we look at a dog's brain, we see these similar regions. We see we can see these similar structures. So we can reasonably assume that it is also conscious.
yes.
Now, a machine lacks that. We can't look at a brain
But it's-
and
yeah,
then kind of like just deductively say,
Yeah.
it's also conscious.
It simulates.
So
it,
then
yeah.
there has to be something else that we would determine
Yeah.
or look at to prove or to disprove that.
Yeah.
And I do think that is an absolute necessity before we ever do anything with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that the technology can have possible uses, and that it's something that can bring benefit to the world. But again, as with everything that is introduced to society, we need to make sure that there's regulations for it, and that it's safe to use. Again, and we can say the same thing with cars. Like cars are very useful, but you can definitely misuse them and hurt others, right? So as long as the way that we use this technology is regulated, then I think that it can be useful. It has to be introduced slowly. People have to be educated. Like that's the most important thing with everything. It's education.
Yeah.
Right. People need to be aware of the implications of such technology and how it can affect others, themselves, their family, their friends, whoever. And so I think that once we have that, and once we can actually prove that they're conscious to this level or that level, that then it should be introduced I'm always against stopping innovation because I think that it just destroys our purpose as humans, which is to always be curious and always go forwards, right? And always try to improve things. So I think that if we ever stagnate in one point, then that's just bad, because we're not actually because we have a way to improve things and make it better, and we just choose to not do so because, either we're afraid of the possible consequences, which means that we're not educated enough to make the right choice. And so that's why I think that, yes, even if this technology can bring negative consequences to the world, that we should still push to educate people to use it properly. Same as with cars, same as with guns, although, that's another topic too. But
I think
that's what I think.
I think you also raise a good discussion point, which we can always talk about in another episode.
Yeah.
Just about innovation and maybe a paradox with how the further we go, just the greater harm we're capable of,
Yes.
and just the greater potential for destruction we have. For example, like nuclear weapons. It's kind of ironic how we are
That's true.
the most intelligent species on this planet,
Yes.
and yet we are
We can
almost
kill
so
ourselves.
stupid that we will destroy ourselves and the planet
Yes.
for over.
Yeah.
the-
Or ironically, almost so smart that we can kill
Yeah.
ourselves.
So then it's like, really, is it a good thing? Like,
Yeah.
yes, there are definitely benefits, but also a lot of
Yeah.
drawbacks.
Yeah.
And the greater power we have, obviously the greater power for good we have, but also, I think humans are we aren't perfect.
Of course.
We are flawed.
Yeah,
as a
in many
species,
ways, but
morally. So then we are also capable for greater destruction and harm. So
Yeah.
that's another topic maybe. We can
definitely.
get into, but
Yes. Okay, I think that we covered our thoughts for this episode. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
I think that's it. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, I recommend it.
Highly recommend
I
it.
enjoy
yeah.
it a lot, and it's now I really just want to get back into sci-fi and want to just rip through some series like Dune. So
Dune?
Yeah, Dune's a sci-fi series.
Ooh, I want to save that. Doone?
Dune, I believe. I've been meaning to
Okay.
read it, so
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'll give it a shot.
both my dad and my friend recommended it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, so these are our thoughts on whether we should or not use this technology if it is to become a reality. Let us know what you think of the implications. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening, and see you later.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
Take care.